What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Dani?
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's always good to have you on time.
It helps, right? It helps.
I think so. We can get the show off started. So what are we talking about today? I think we're talking about today a short episode, but a challenge that every parking professional in the industry faces at some point in their career. I want to talk about what the most embarrassing moments are for me when I was trying to introduce to somebody. You're in that moment and somebody wants to know what you do. So I want to walk people through over the years and the evolution of the total most embarrassing moments that I had trying to describe what I did.
Is it not only to people who have no idea what you do, but even sometimes to your clients, or even when you specifically talk up a particular solution or a technology, whatever that might be. And
I think
right then and there, it just doesn't work because as we know, technology is technology, and sometimes it has its faults.
Yeah. So, let's dive right in. So first of all, thanks to our sponsors as always, PRS, Azura Technologies, Parking Whisper. I think there's soon to be more. We're getting inquiries by the dozens every day. We can't take everybody, but certainly we have a few openings left for the right price. So
yeah, and if you're interested, please visit www.parkingtalk.com and we would love to hear all about it.
Okay, so the goal of this show is to help that person. Obviously there's different there's evolutions to your career in parking for sure. And the moments in time, that first 5 or 6 years are pretty serious. And then, then you get more confident, and then you get more, experience, and then you realize what parking really is. And then all of a sudden, it becomes something different. So I think, I could share some embarrassing moments. I'm sure you could, which I would call embarrassing just because you're in that setting and it's literally.
Well, I'm in the field, not a lot of the time, but a good portion of the time when I'm traveling. I'm traveling to different venues, and I'm on site, and I'm in the field a lot of the time. So plenty of embarrassing moments to share.
They normally came in the beginning of my career. You're talking to, people at a casual situation on the weekend, a party. Everybody's talking about what they're doing. You hear about this person went to law school. This person did this. And you're just sitting there going, what's going around the room. So you're kind of sweating BBs because you're what am I going to tell these people?
Right. When someone's like, oh, Dani, what did you end up doing? What is your career?
Yeah.
I'm parking?
Parking. Yeah. And then, people are kind of wow, in the younger generation, they don't understand. So that's why I'm saying it changes and it evolves. So
yeah, conversations around the dinner table are definitely different these days. Not just with family, but with close friends. And so usually I normally just sometimes I'm oh, let's just skip on over me because it's not your typical, I work in marketing. I work in marketing. I work in HR. I'm a lawyer.
I would do what you would call a workaround. So, because I'll describe some of those embarrassing moments. You're at a party, picture it, you're on the weekend, got a girlfriend or a wife. You go to this party, you're in your early 20s and you're going around the room and listening to, the cool guy over there on the other side of the room in his law school or whatever the hell he did, the pharmacist over there. All of a sudden you're what do you do? I do parking. Everybody's so people not even listening that you don't think are involved in your conversation. It's almost like a room stopping moment.
No, it is. It's
so people are wait a minute, parking? What?
Crickets.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That's what the room does, but everybody's staring at you.
And then everyone's just looking at you waiting for you. Waiting
and then the
for
person
your
you're talking to has that awkward kind of valet? That's what I always got. It was like valet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had like 2 or 3 of those moments, and then I did what was like called a workaround.
What's the workaround? What's your workaround?
So I would be, because think about it. You're managing a garage. You're managing an asset, right? And so early on in your career, you don't really get exposed to like the developers, and you might be in the mayor's office, kind of mid-career. You know what I mean? You're an integral part of planning and all kinds of things. But at 27 years old, most people don't understand that. So, so I started telling people I was a property manager.
Oh, that's right, right. You did say that,
right? I mean, at that moment, it's like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I manage real estate assets, right?
Which is right on par.
So it's right on par.
Really,
it's
what
not
we
a
do.
lie, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So you do that for a while, and then it's kind of like, then you get kind of mid-career, right? And you're just kind of like, wow, there's a lot to parking. And then you actually become proud of it, right? So you might be the property manager or your fraternity brothers that you run into. You're in real estate.
Well, and we've mentioned this on another, like on a previous episode, right? Where I was like, I just tell people that I'm a meter maid now. Like I run parking. I'm a meter maid. That's what I do. And to them, they're like, oh, usually that gets them to skip like right over me. Otherwise, it's like such an in-depth conversation with a lot of people who are sitting around, and they're just like, still, I have not mastered how to tell somebody who knows nothing about parking and what we do exactly what I do. So I'm working on that. And that's including my group of friends, right?
So,
where it's very like still difficult. Like I get more frustrated than not, like with my family, with my friends sometimes, where I'm like, why don't you just understand? And I'm realizing that it's not them, it's me. I need to be better about explaining exactly what I do and how I do it, and like how it benefits them.
Right. So that's like mid-career. That's like when you've been in it for, 5-10 years, and you start to build a confidence around what you do, and you see the importance of it.
Right.
And then you start trying to explain. So you're like, yes, I'm in parking, and here's why I'm in parking, and here's all the things that we do. And somebody will go, oh, it's valet. And you'll spend 20 minutes explaining why it's not valet. Right. And then you're going to come upon a time where it's like, fuck it. I'm going to tell people I'm in parking. I don't give a shit what they think. And then all of a sudden your family and the people around you that know you, just because of your success and what you've had going in parking, they're like, oh, he doesn't really just do parking. It's like, and then all of a sudden you find yourself going, yes, I really do just do parking. Gate up, gate down. I mean, that was back then. I don't know what we'll be saying now, but
I mean,
letter out, letter in.
Yeah, it's not just about gates anymore, which is a whole nother topic and a whole nother episode, which we look forward to having. But I want to know, have you ever been in a situation with like a friend, or I assume like most of your like your immediate family now know what you do and they have an idea, but like, have you ever been in a situation with a friend or someone who just doesn't know anything about parking, and you've been in a parking situation and like you've handled it or didn't handle it, but they expect you to handle it, and if you did, it wasn't exactly what they expected?
So
because I got a story about this, so that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, now for me, it's just about I just downplay what I do. I'm in parking, and most of the time, my family or my friends will be going, oh, that's not all he does.
Yeah.
But really, that is all I do. But people want a better explanation, because most of the time, if it's in my neighborhood or it's somewhere, people know that whatever I'm doing, it's provided, opportunity and created value for my family.
And value.
Yeah. So I think most people get it now, but it took a long time to evolve that way, and even when you get to a point where it's kind of like you'll run across somebody every now and then that's kind of cocky, like, you're in parking. And then it's Yeah, one of my locations is $20 million a month in revenue. And then they're just kind of, I have 22 of those. And then they're just kind of like, I mean, not 22 that gross $20 million a month, but when you start talking about,
I thought you meant 22 friends who
when you
always,
start talking about one location that grosses 20 million a month, that's kind of, I don't care what you're doing. That's a major operation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I've used that because I've had a location that did that when I was in the airport division. So, I mean, those are massive operations. And I think most people get it. Tell us your story.
No. So like going back, like I think like, well, now I'm not, like you said before, I was probably a little pulled away from actually telling people that I worked in parking because I didn't really know how to fully explain what that meant. But I've been in situations, right, where even today I get a little frustrated, not just like, and I'll be honest, I think it's with me more than anything because I feel like when someone doesn't get, like a close friend doesn't get what I do, I'm like, how can I explain this how can I break this down any more than what I'm already doing to like simplify it, right? And so, for example, I think I kind of have like touched base on this story in an episode or two ago, but like it was one of my good girlfriend's birthdays. I'll live in Denver.
By the way, you seem to be, this is a challenge that everybody's had.
It's a challenge. Like, it is a challenge. And like,
for those of you listening, like, and especially the young listeners, like, listen, because this is a challenge. I'm going to end this show after your story, when we're finally ending the show. I'm going to go through what you should tell people.
Yeah, I would love this.
We could label it, your first 0 to 5 years. This is what you tell people. Right?
0 to 5, yeah.
5 to 10, this is what you tell people. 10 to 15, this is what you tell people. Anything over 20, fuck them.
If they don't understand, they
For
don't
all the
understand.
people that know me, fuck them.
And they don't understand, they don't understand.
Sorry, that was late.
But so we're going downtown, and normally now I just offer to drive if I know that we're going to have to pay for parking. I just offer to drive because I just offer to pay for it all the time. So it's not an inconvenience to anyone that I'm with. And so we're going downtown for one of my good girlfriend's birthdays and to a really great restaurant. And we know that there's valet. So
which restaurant?
Garden Grace.
Oh yeah.
Really good, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't
Great
go there.
Steaks.
I don't go there often, but wonderful.
Troy Guard. Yeah. Enough said.
Whoever that is. I assume
he's the owner.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got multiple restaurants.
Well, Garden Grace is great. I think probably I've been to more. But anyways, so we know that there's valet. And I'm like, all right, I'll pick everyone up at my girlfriend's house. I'll drive, I'll valet. So we get there, valet, and go inside, have a 4-hour dinner, come out, give them my ticket or call for my car. I forget if I gave them a ticket or I called for my car via phone. And the valet goes and, like a lot of valets in any downtown area buy meters from the city, right? Like they block off meters. So they book them, whatever, they block them so that they can have them for their valet operations, whether it's VIP or they just need more space, whatever it is. And I'm going to say now that I'm not an expert in valet. That's an entire space that I actually have never been in or operated. But I think it's incredibly smart for them to do. And so my car, lo and behold, is actually parked at the second meter in front of this restaurant that valet rented
metered
out
parking.
But they rented it out from the city,
so you
right?
pull up in front of the restaurant and it's bagged, and then they take your car somewhere and park it. So they use it as
yeah. But it's like one of the literally one, like they bagged like the first like 5 meters in front of the restaurant.
It's their makeshift portico share.
Yeah, well, right. But I think that they have spaces offsite elsewhere. But at the time that I pulled up, like the space just wasn't being utilized. So they park my car there. So all my 3 girlfriends see them literally just walk, I don't know, 30 feet from us, get in my car and I see my car and I'm like, hey, actually, I'll grab it myself. And they're like, no, I get it. Insurance, all this thing. I was like, I know better. I'm sorry. So they go and they pull my car up another 20 feet, whatever it is. And we get in the car and my girlfriends are so upset about this. And they're like, do you mean to tell us that we pulled up, they parked your car literally right there, like right in front of the restaurant, and you had to pay $30 for valet? And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And so it was this whole debate on our drive home about them being like, no, like if we pull up and our car is valeted, we expect them to take our car. We expect them to take our car off site somewhere and park it. But like we could have done what they just did. And my whole argument to them was, but you couldn't have, because those meters were dedicated to valet. And I'm all about convenience. And
you probably would have wound up paying $30 anyways and walked.
But this is the thing too, is that like there's a lot that goes into this, right? Like not only am I in the industry, I'm about convenience. If I can valet, I'll valet. I will valet my car. And if it's parked in front of the restaurant or hotel or wherever I'm valeting, that makes me more comfortable, right? I know where my car is. I know that they're keeping an eye on it. If anything happens, if it's broken into, if it's hit, like they know that is.
They own it.
They own it. But they own it. Like they can tell me right away, right? Whether them like versus them taking it completely off site into a garage 3 blocks away. Something can happen. They don't know. So they
felt like they should have gotten valet service for free.
No. They don't feel like they should have gotten valet. We should have gotten valet service for free, but they were like, they parked your car.
I mean, honestly, that's a great situation. I mean, most people that have their car right there and moved 2 inches, that's your best case scenario.
I agree.
Those are usually the Ferraris, the Mercedes, the higher end cars don't get taken far.
Right.
That's because when I come out, I want it right there.
Right.
So you're really not paying. You're paying for the convenience.
I'm paying for the convenience.
At the door and get the hell out of your car and just leave it there running and have somebody take care of it.
But not only that.
That's really what you're paying for.
But like not only that, I'm paying also to walk back outside right after dinner and get my car in less than 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Right? I'm not waiting 10 to 15.
That's a miracle if that happens. But
I mean, if it's parked right in front of it's parked right in front of
it's not
where
always
you came out.
No,
it's not. But that's what they expected, because that has been to date their entire experience with valet, right? So to me, they were like, why are we paying $30 that your car was parked out there?
How does this drive home? Did you wind up...
Oh, I was
so... wind up kicking the door
No,
open
I was so frustrated.
While you slow down to 5 miles an hour and say, get the fuck out of my car.
I was so frustrated because I couldn't explain. I couldn't make it make sense to them why I would rather have my car 10 steps outside of the front door of the restaurant that I was eating at versus not, right? Like they expected their car to be, because it's traditionally like, your car is just whisked away. And I said, you don't know where your car goes. When you hand the keys over and they take it and like you don't see it, you don't know where it goes. I'm more comfortable with seeing where my car goes, coming back out and seeing where
it's
my car
was. It's more convenient at the end of the day to have your car still right there.
Especially to me, I was telling them, as a woman parking downtown Denver, parking anywhere, I don't like, because they were like, well, we could have just taken your car and parked it for you wherever. And I'm like, okay, but then what happens when your meter runs out, or you have to go, add more money if you're gonna street park, and if you're not parking at like a garage or an operator.
So do your friends then in this conversation, this challenging moment, they're kind of like associating you with valet? Is that what we're talking about?
No, they're not associating with me with valet.
You're just frustrated. You couldn't get them to understand.
Well, this is a funny thing, is because like now, like maybe I'm not explaining it right, but they they couldn't understand the convenience of my car being parked right outside of the
Should we
restaurant.
give them a 3-day crash course in parking?
Well, this is the thing. It was like, why can I not explain this, right? And like, why
Same.
they were like, why did you paid $30? We could have paid the meter, whatever.
This is why
downtown Denver.
I mean, I hate to bring this up, but this is why I'm so adamant about the brand loyalty shit. When you start talking to people don't understand parking. And this is a prime example. You couldn't even get them to understand a simple thing about valet, right? And most people genuinely are like that. And majority of the public, from what I can see now, are entitled. They don't even want to pay for parking.
Oh, 100%.
And if you hold somebody accountable because they didn't bother to read a sign or do anything, they think they're entitled to free parking. And oh, by the way, how dare you charge me $80? Like, I didn't pay $10. Why am I paying $80? Well, you don't get to decide that. You don't know what went into that.
Right.
You don't understand or appreciate the costs, right? That go into having to hunt you down and collect that $10 that you didn't pay initially because you couldn't read a sign.
Right. Well, and like, and that's like, I totally get that, but I think that this is why in this group, I 100%, I appreciate them so much because like we can have a conversation about like, why didn't you understand? Why didn't you understand? Why does this make sense to you? Why does this not make sense to
Do
you?
they listen to your podcast?
They do.
Oh.
Yeah. I think most of them do at least. I hope so. But
Dani really didn't want to kick you out of her car and push you out at 10 miles an hour.
But this is also why like
not what she told me earlier.
This is also why I always volunteer to either pay for parking or drive, right? Because I know that if I do those things, it's less of a headache and a hassle and a conversation around paid parking. So I'm like, I got this. Like, I will drive. And this was just one situation in particular where I was more frustrated with myself than anything, that I couldn't explain why it was so convenient for my car to be parked right outside of the restaurant. And I was more than willing to pay that $30, right? Like, to me, it was about convenience. It was about safety. It was about also, as being in the industry, like, I want to support our local operators, and that just doesn't resonate with people who aren't in the industry and who don't understand, right? Because most people actually do hate paying for parking.
Oh, everybody hates paying for parking.
And like I've said before, like, I don't mind paying it. Like, I will seek out paid parking versus free parking any day. Because to me, it is like, it's more convenient. And I know that I'm giving back usually to like local operators, but I usually will seek out, I will seek out paid parking versus free any day.
Okay. So what point are you at? What are you telling people you do?
Well, now it's a little bit of a different conversation because people see that I travel a lot.
Let's have the conversation.
Like
Dani, what do you do?
And I tell them that I work in parking. I say
Oh, really? What do you mean parking?
I help parking. I help asset owners.
Like valet, Dani? Do you do valet?
I don't do valet.
Oh, okay. So tell me, what is park? What do you mean?
I park valet, but I don't. I don't do valet. So I say I help. Like all of our.
No, we're having a conversation. We're at a party right now.
Oh, we're at a party. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't know we were.
Dani,
we were role playing
tell
here.
me about this parking. What is it? I don't understand.
Do you go to any events?
Yeah, sometimes.
What events do you go to?
I go to a Nuggets game once in a while.
So I help asset owners who run the Ball Arena.
Oh,
parking.
So where I park at Ball Arena, that's what. And what do you do? Where are you? When I go there, what are you doing?
I'm helping you get into the venue.
How are you helping me? I park and I get out of my car.
I help you get into the venue.
So you're valeting my car?
Not valeting your car.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't understand.
Which makes sense. That makes sense.
That's a real conversation.
No, it is a real conversation.
Yeah. So how do you end it?
So I normally, when people do ask, like, what I do, it's not like
There's some people
usually.
this is why this is important, because there's some people that are truly interested in what you do and want to hear about it. And then there's other people that aren't really interested, and they're very arrogant about, when you start
and most
telling
people,
them.
when they're saying, like, you
So
just
it
say that you work in
My reaction's going to depend on.
Well, and most of the time when people are like, "Oh, you work in parking," and they just think that like we're part of the problem, right? They're like, "Oh, you make us pay for parking."
Let's reverse this now.
Okay.
We're at the party. You're going to do what I just did, right? To me.
Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? What's going on?
How's it going? What do you do for a living?
Good. What do you do? What do you do for a living?
Who are you?
Danny?
What do you do for a living?
Hey, what do you do?
What do you do?
Before I tell you my
No,
sexy story, what do you do? Come on, what do you do?
No, what do you do?
No, what do you do? Come on. What do you do? I'll tell you what I do. My story's boring.
Oh no, I would love to hear what you do first.
So you want me to tell you what I do first?
And then, yeah.
Oh my, I'm in parking. What do you do?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That means I park cars, right? You ever park your car?
How do you park cars? What do you do? Do you physically park them?
No. I personally don't physically park them, but that is a portion of our industry. It's probably like 2% of our industry, valet, parking. But
so you valet?
The rest of, no, I don't valet. It's like the bottom of the barrel of the industry, to be honest with you.
Don't say that. That's a bad answer.
I know, but it's the truth. It's like less than 1% or 2% of the parking industry that it represents. No, what I do is I manage assets for property owners, and we maximize revenue. That's what we do.
How do you maximize revenue?
We charge for parking? We're those people, Danny.
Those people.
Did you ever get a parking ticket?
Never.
Never? Okay, well then good.
I always find free parking.
We love people like you. Give us $50.
I always look for the free parking. Just kidding. No, I'm
most of the time.
I'm the person who looks for paid parking.
So most of the time, people are going to roll with that, and they're going to be like, "Okay, I get it. I get it. I go downtown, right? Totally get it, right?" So now let's do this again. I'm going to ask you, but I'm going to be that arrogant fucking asshole.
Can't wait.
I'm going to be that arrogant asshole, right? Ready?
Do I have to be nice?
You don't.
Okay.
But we're gonna reverse this again, right? We're gonna do so. You're gonna be the asshole. So kind of. I don't think you're capable of being an asshole myself.
That's what a lot of people tell me.
I know, so listen to what I do.
A lot of people say you listen to
what I do, because it's pretty easy for me.
All right.
So you're gonna have to do that back to me. So we can.
So you're training. You're helping me.
I'm helping you be able to deal with this shit.
To be an asshole. I got this. All right. I can do this.
Okay. Hi, Danny. How are you? I know you. Where do I know you from?
The streets.
I think I'm friends with your husband.
The streets.
Or something.
You know me from the
right?
streets.
Aren't you in our neighborhood?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh! Why haven't we hung
good to
out
see you.
before? I think I might have seen you at work. Our law firm downtown on 17th. Yeah. I've seen you somewhere around there, haven't I?
Yeah, my office is down there. So
where's your office?
On 16th and Wazee.
Oh, I work for Bradford and Bradford. What do you do?
Oh, I work in parking.
Parking? Really? No, you don't. You don't work in parking. What is parking?
I park cars.
Wow.
I'm a meter maid. I park cars and I'm a meter maid.
Sorry, Danny. I got to cut you off. Sally's calling me. I'll talk to you later.
That's usually how it goes.
That's like the worst case scenario.
No, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if somebody's like dragging,
but this is
somebody's
the thing too.
dragging their stuff out with you, like, oh, really? Really parking?
Okay.
They're being fucking sarcastic.
But this is the thing too, though, is
at
that
some point you're like, yeah, really parking.
At one point, like, if I know that it's going to be an interesting conversation, then I make it more interesting. But if I know that I don't want this conversation to continue, then I'm like,
you're going to shut down.
Parking. And like,
oh yeah, parking.
I make it.
That's actually pretty cool.
I make it as short as possible. and make it as boring as possible so people don't
right. You just want
continue.
You just want that
it's like
person
people,
to get the hell out of there.
Well, if people are truly interested, right? And I'm not talking, this is not in like a professional setting. I'm talking about more in a personal setting, because I travel a lot. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of random people. Yeah, on the plane.
I'm to the point now on planes, I don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, it's unbelievable. Well, it never fails. Somebody's always there. Where are you going?
Trust me. I can be fully working like on a plane, and people are like, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do? What are you working on? What is that?" Like all the questions. And then the second that I start telling them what I do, they're like, okay. And they kind of just turn away. I can make parking really boring, or I can make it really interesting.
Yeah, you can make it really cool.
Yeah. And so
when you deal with the sarcasm and somebody dragging out you're not really, that's when, listeners out there, I mean, you might not have managed an airport with 20 million in revenue a month, but fuck it, tell them that, one of my assets is 20 million a month in revenue. That kind of will get somebody's attention. Oh,
right. Oh yeah.
We got a donkey in here. You are an asshole.
One of these days, I mean, if anyone ever in this industry is like, Dani's been mean to me, please, you gotta let me know, because
Dani's never mean to anybody.
I don't think I am, but
I've polled a lot of people, so. I think you passed the test.
Oh, thank you.
So what are you telling people right now? Just you park, and then it could be interesting or not interesting.
Well, it depends.
Right?
It definitely depends. The conversation depends.
And tell them about your large venues and all this thing that you're doing. Municipalities.
I've had great conversations with people on this, and I've had very short conversations with people on this as well. And so I think it definitely just depends. And I think it's interesting. And so when I start geeking out about what I do, I can literally tell whether this conversation is going to carry or not by the glaze in people's eye or not.
So some of the snap words, I would call them, or grab words, buzzwords. Parking's usually an indicator, one of the first indicators of either a economic boom or an economic downturn. You can start to see occupancies drop quickly. You can see occupancies start to increase. You can see the habits and things that companies are doing. When they're hiring. When there's hiring booms. So that's always been a buzz. The other thing is parking is usually an integral part in downtown urban planning.
Absolutely.
Typically parking garages, developments, all those kind of things you're involved in. And you could literally go, and parking is always an important topic to cities and governments and BIDs and everything else. And so you could sit on boards, being an expert in parking, being able to share that. So, and people want to know. So in their planning a community or whatever stage they're in that planning process, they want the parking person in there. They want
the parking person. They want the parking expert. They want
them to come in. Developers. They want to know what the numbers are, what the projections are. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So parking is really important. So be confident. Be confident about what you do. I personally have been involved in. I'll tell you how parking played a role in saving the Kings. Like, the city needed money to build a new arena. It was kind of like that team was going somewhere else. And so I was part of a process, a P3 process, where there were some bids, there was all kinds of things. And basically you're putting together a plan where the city of Sacramento was going to lease all of their parking assets to for kind of like the city of Chicago did, to raise money to get an upfront payment for the parking system so they could fund the arena, so they could save the Kings.
Oh.
Right? So I remember doing 50-year performas.
Oh, yeah.
That was a new experience for me, because, I mean, you can do a 3, you can do a 5-year performa, but you start going 50 years on an asset, it's kind of like now you've got to factor in this maintenance and this upkeep, all this stuff of a garage.
Especially over 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was pretty cool. But the city wound up taking everybody's ideas, and I think they formed a 501(c), and the city manager resigned and became the head of the 501(c). Basically, the city did it themselves. So they did the same thing and raised all this money through the parking assets. So that's an example where it was that's a huge deal to that city. Nobody wanted to lose the Kings, and they wanted to build the arena. So that's those conversations where you're in with the mayor and the city manager and all those people, and they're listening, trying to come up with ideas and ways to save something like a basketball team in their community.
Yeah, and funny
which
how,
is a huge, would have an economic impact if they
on
left.
the entire city if that was not. Yeah, absolutely.
And so parking was right there in the forefront. It always is.
Well, and funny how like when you put it in that perspective, right? People then have no problem. People have no problem paying for parking. They'll still have a problem. But like you put it into that, perspective.
I'm just mainly
like
talking about being confident about telling people what you do, and being confident for the listeners about describing parking and what you do, because it's a cool career and it's important.
It is a cool career.
I love it.
Hey, I never thought that I would be doing this in a million years, and I'm proud to be saying that it's a rising career. Like this is not.
Let's say I wouldn't say it's a rising.
You don't think so?
Like popular career. I don't think it's ever going to be that, but it is a good.
I think it will be.
I think the people that stumbled upon parking are pretty happy about stumbling upon parking. Because let's face it, most of us have stumbled upon parking.
I think I'm pretty lucky. I do think that I am lucky to be in this industry.
Okay, so let's lay out as we finish up here.
Okay.
Let's lay out what 0 to 5 looks like for people describing what they do. I'm gonna go with real estate, managing assets. What do you think?
I'm gonna go with meter maid.
Meter maid.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 0 to 5.
I know, but I mean 0 to 5, depending on your age, you're kind of trying to still impress people, right? Does that exist anymore?
I don't know.
Does anybody give a shit about it?
Right. And that's the thing too, is that like I think that once that parking comes into the conversation, it is like it's people just aren't that
so
interested.
if you're
I say
you're an extremely confident individual, then you're going to do what Dani does, and you're just going to say meter maid, and it's going to open you up to a conversation. Now,
yeah.
I could see how you could get away with that. I probably couldn't.
Really? I think that you could probably get away with it more than I could.
Not at 24 years old when I was.
But now?
Yeah, now. But I'm talking the beginning of careers, 0 to 5 years.
Okay.
So, because we're walking people through the stage, right? So 0 to 5, you're probably going to go with your best bet is, and honestly, this depends on you as a person, but if you're super confident and you don't give a shit, you're a meter maid, right? If you are a little bit awkward and a little insecure about, your industry and what you do, then I think you're going to be a real estate asset manager.
Yeah.
Go with asset manager. That's what I would say. And if you're, confident like Dani, say you're a meter maid. What do you think? Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, that's
so we're going to go with real estate asset manager
and meter maid.
Yeah. Or you don't have to throw the real estate in. You could just say asset manager.
Like I think you just say asset manager.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next stage.
Okay. 5 to 10 years. What are we doing?
That's where I would say asset manager.
Really?
Oh.
Wow. Why?
Well, because I think from 0 to 5 in your career, you don't really, I don't know. I don't think that you're still trying, like if you're new to the industry, you're still trying to get a feel for actually what you do. Right.
And you're super insecure about it. I think 5 to 10, you start getting a little more confidence. The confidence is building at 5 and 10, Dani.
Yeah, I
Like
agree. Which asset manager, like
you actually have a little bit of proudness in parking.
yeah, why wouldn't you say asset manager?
5 to 10 is where you're really going
to. So what would you say?
I would actually say I'm in parking and I manage parking assets.
Right, and
that's what I would say.
Which is asset management.
And today, now that we have all these super cool buzzwords, I'd say I'm in parking and mobility, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Okay. So then what are we at now? 10 to 15?
10 to 15. That's where 10 to.
What would you say?
What would you say?
I mean, parking and mobility.
I think, yeah.
Maybe parking and mobility. That's exactly what I would say.
I think you drill down a little more when you're 10 to 15. You're basically at the point where you're like, I'm a regional manager, a regional vice president for a large parking operator, and I manage parking garages and service lots and anything parking.
So then you get more basic?
Yeah.
As time goes on, you get more basic?
Yeah, you kind of get more drilled in and come super comfortable.
Okay.
That's what I would say. And then over 20, 15 to 20, you're just like, fuck it. I'm in parking.
I'm just in parking.
If you don't like it, go yourself. What do you think?
Proud of you for using that one correctly. You did.
I did use that correctly.
Yeah, you did.
Let me try it again. Hey, go yourself. That works. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to after 20 years. That's pretty much what I've done.
I'm too nice to ever say that, but
I don't really say that, but kind of saying gate up, gate down, that's kind of saying fuck off. Do you really care about what I do?
People probably still really care about what you do, John. Like, I think that people probably care a lot about what you do because you've from where you started to where you are now has been such a journey. And that's just my opinion. But for people who don't know you as well as I do, maybe they don't care, but.
Yeah, maybe I skipped.
And if I was in that conversation, I would be like, you need to fucking care.
I think it's 25 to 30, maybe. Now I'm just prickly John. I'm a curmudgeon. My neighbor. So my daughter lives next to us. She lives next door.
Oh, I did not know that.
And so, and the neighbor on the other side to them, they kind of hang out.
Right.
And she called me a curmudgeon.
What is a curmudgeon? First, what is that?
Don't be such a curmudgeon. I wanted to leave one of the kids' parties early, and I was a curmudgeon, so I still hear about being a curmudgeon.
Well, why did you first? There's a lot to unpack there. Why did you want to leave early?
What is curmudgeon?
Why did you want to leave early? And second,
well, it wasn't early. It was just kind of wrapping up this Chuck E. Cheese or
you're
wherever.
Like, I gotta go golf.
It was.
Don't
be such a curmudgeon.
I got so many other places to be than a kid's party.
So my daughter and my wife have fun with. I'm the curmudgeon.
What is it?
I think it's like an old prickly dude. You know what I mean? It's like an old. Thanks for one calling me old and two a curmudgeon. That's perfect.
What is the official definition of a curmudgeon?
Here we go. Is everybody ready for this? Curmudgeon, a crusty, ill-tempered, and usually old man.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Thanks, neighbor.
Well, you're never going back to her kid's party.
No, they're cool people. I like those people. The irony is they're neighbors to my daughter, and the husband was my daughter's middle school teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So are you really the curmudgeon?
I'm not a curmudgeon.
I don't think so.
Do I even act like a curmudgeon? No way.
Nah, you're too cool to be a curmudgeon.
I'm the life of the party. How could I be a curmudgeon?
I think that's actually like a very accurate statement. I do think that you are the
Sometimes
life of the party.
I could be a curmudgeon, I'm sure. It might have my moments.
I think everybody does. I wouldn't say that I do, but.
So anyway, maybe between folks, between 25 and 30, you can tell people you're a parking curmudgeon.
Circling back around to that.
Or that's a crusty old man. Maybe, how would you describe a woman? So it's probably a curmudgeonette.
A curmudgeonette?
I don't know. A parking curmudgeonette.
A curmudgeonette.
Anyway. So I think this has kind of been fun.
Yes,
talking
it's
about,
been a really fun.
you know, some of these we've talked about in the past where we've said, hey, I could talk for that topic for hours. You know,
today
I have so many stories
did.
of telling people what I do. They can be, some of them were pretty embarrassing. I've had moments where some of my old fraternity brothers just made me feel like a total loser. It's like,
well,
you're
today
parking.
people still like, sometimes I cringe at like telling people what I do. Sometimes, thank you for putting me on the spot earlier, by the way. But like, if
You
it's
know
like,
when you're getting
if
into
it's
that.
when like, if it's with a stranger, I'm like, usually I can hammer out something pretty quickly. But
Anyway, I think it's been fun talking about those embarrassing moments when
about curmudgeons.
About trying to explain what we do in this industry, right?
No, this has been fun.
Yeah, and you know, don't forget to tune in. We got some super stuff going on. We got parades. We've got all kinds of things. We've got the Three Amigos, Mark Jackson, and some of the Broncos coming on, talking about success, right? You know, because success crosses over to all industries. And when you rise, whether it's parking or anything, when you get to the top of the food chain in what you're doing, that's a focus and a discipline that I want to dissect, because those guys obviously getting to the NFL and being at the top and going to the AFC Championship and being in Super Bowls, like that's the top of the food chain. So,
and we are going to dissect it. We're gonna have a great time.
We're gonna take some guests outside of parking that are NFL, and we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
so,
believe it or not, we're gonna bring you something non-parking,
that's
parking
right,
related.
non-parking. Anyway,
all right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Again, please visit www.parkingtalk.com.
www.parkingtalk.com. And Dani, thanks for being on time.
Hey, thanks for being late, John. Catch you next time.